that is only possible here in Switzerland. Either they didn't know, like the big players didn't know about this, or they just didn't care because they thought it's a small niche, it's never going to take off. For us, it did take off, at least for our, obviously we're not as big as any of them yet, at least Coinbase and Bitpanda, etc. They're all bigger. But there's definitely a case, there's definitely a business model that can make a lot of revenue and for a very good, sustainable, profitable business, maybe even up to a unicorn that can go public at one point.
Okay, so welcome everybody to a new episode of Bitcoin Equities Talks. Today I have with me Julian, the CEO of Relai App. Can you present yourself, Julian, and Relay's unique business model?
Sure, thank you for having me, Chad. Much appreciated. So Relai is basically Europe's number one and Europe's easiest Bitcoin app made in Switzerland. So we're born and raised and based and regulated in Switzerland, but we are active in all European and EU countries, basically providing the easiest onboarding for people that are not into Bitcoin yet to buy their first Bitcoin. So you can imagine kind of the unique business model is that we make it so easy and so fast, like anyone else in the market. So you can download the app wherever you are on both app stores, and then within 1 minute from $10 already, and without any registration or verification, up to 1K per day and 100K per year, you can buy Bitcoin. And you can do this 24/7 and with different payment methods like bank transfer, Apple Pay, Google Pay, and credit card. And the cool thing as well is that we never hold the money or the Bitcoin on behalf of our customers. So we're non-custodial. All of our customers have their own non-custodial Bitcoin wallet. So there's no counterparty risk, right? And this is kind of unique set of features and benefits that you cannot find anywhere else, at least in Europe, and probably not even anywhere else in the world, as of my knowledge.
Yeah, that's a very interesting feature, and I was very curious to jump on the call with you to understand. First of all, can you explain to our audience why is it the simplest and the quickest way compared to any other platform out there where you want to go and buy Bitcoin? What's the user experience in terms of simplicity compared to traditional platforms?
Yeah, sure. So it has a lot to do with us being Bitcoin only and non-custodial and regulated in Switzerland. So if you have all these, then other than custodial platforms that have a lot of other currencies and are maybe regulated somewhere else in Europe or in the US or somewhere else, there is a lot of onboarding, a big onboarding procedure to be done. And also, it's a higher risk from a regulatory point of view because these platforms hold money on behalf of the customers, and they are trading a lot of different cryptos that are maybe securities, maybe not. So it's kind of a gray area. And depending on the regulation, that is usually heavier in these other countries and jurisdictions than in Europe. That leads to a very long onboarding process where the users basically have to fill in all their information, upload different documents, and there's back and forth, different checks, etc. Whereas for us, basically, it's really downloading the app, and with a couple of clicks, within 1 minute, you're onboarded, quote unquote. So we don't even ask for a name or a email address or any document that you need to upload, like nothing. It's literally 3-4 onboarding screens that you can just scroll through, and then you press a button start. In that second, a non-custodial Bitcoin wallet is installed on your phone. It's encrypted. It sits on your local storage on your device. Only you have access through your PIN and your Face ID, and this shows you the private key, so the 12 words. No one else has access to that, not even us. So they're not on our servers, etc. And because we are non-custodial, because we never have funds on behalf of the customer, this is the reason why we can do it so easily. So not only the onboarding is so super fast and efficient and easy because we're Bitcoin only, non-custodial, and regulated in Switzerland, but then also the rest of the user experience, right? So from there, You can say, I want to buy $50, for example. I want to pay with credit card. And the Bitcoin are sent to you right away, within minutes or hours, 24/7. So you can even do that, Sunday evening or whatever. And you get them right away to your own. You have control of the funds of the Bitcoin. They never sit on a platform like FTX, for example, that can be hacked or that can blow up or whatever. You always are in control. That's why we are also lower on kind of the regulation requirements. That means we do not have to ask for all these information, etc. Up to a limit of 1K per day and 100K per year.
Wow. So, this is what struck me when I first discovered your app, is that because you have basically, when you download your app, you're downloading at the same time a wallet and a connection to your platform where I can buy my Bitcoins.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, you're just a wallet connected to a third-party provider that can provide you with the prices. And when you do the payments, then you have to go through the traditional, either use your credit card or use your bank wire method, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you
exactly. So you can think of us maybe as like a wallet, non-custodial wallet, and a broker, both together.
okay.
So we are not just um, sending you to another exchange or something, but we are our own broker. So basically, you can buy and sell Bitcoin from and to us as a counterparty. But then, unlike other exchanges or other brokers, we don't hold the Bitcoin or the funds for longer than a few seconds or minutes on behalf of the customer. So basically, you can transact with us like a broker, but you can always hold your funds yourself.
Yeah, so and this is not possible with other cryptocurrencies. Why is it only with Bitcoin? You can do the same with Ether, for example, no?
Yeah, we could definitely do that, but we never will because like it's more a decision out of principles and just looking at the market, how we think the market will evolve, and also a business decision. Again, regulatory decision as well, cost. Like the more other cryptocurrencies you add to a platform, the more complex everything gets, the more effort and cost it is, the more legal and compliance effort, the more risk as well for us as a business, but also for our clients, our users who invest with us. And so we made the clear decision that we want to be Bitcoin only because we really see Bitcoin as the future of money. It's digital gold, it's a savings technology, and it's basically it's the base layer of the financial system, global, decentralized, neutral financial system that we will see evolve in the next 10 years. And it's also basically the best long-term investment that for users who are looking to store their wealth and their purchasing power over the long run. And that's what we really are about. We're a savings app. We're not a speculation app like many other crypto casinos or crypto exchanges. They mainly profit and market the whole speculation use case and the venture investing use case. So yeah, let's find the next coin, or token that will blow up, that will 10x, etc. These short-term gains. It's more for traders, it's more for speculators, it's even for venture capital type of investors, but it's not for the broad masses. Like 90% out there, they just want to have something for the long run. They want to have access to the Bitcoin and crypto market, and they want to have a good sound money hard asset to store their wealth on the long run and to save their money into. And that's what we are about. And if this is really important to you, then Bitcoin is the only thing that makes sense. Bitcoin is really fundamentally different from all the other cryptocurrencies out there in that it's truly decentralized, truly no CEO, no company, no foundation behind it. And it's clearly the leader, also in terms of security and hash rate, etc., and track record. And it's really designed as sound money and savings technology, whereas most of these others, they're designed for other use cases. Some of them might make sense, some of them not. But it's mainly for speculation and venture capital kind of startup investing. And 9 out of 10 will die or are already now dying. So the risk is much, much higher there. And we want to give the people a low risk, long time preference access to this kind of crypto investment kind of thing. And their Bitcoin and Bitcoin only is the thing that makes sense for us.
Okay, and how come your business model is so unique that why didn't the other platform opt for this decentralized, basically, access to Bitcoin where each one can download the app and have an automatic portfolio? I mean, I have the Coinbase portfolio, but I still have to open an account there, have a custodial wallet there, etc., and then I can transfer them to the wallet. Is it like Switzerland that has a specific regulation compared to the rest of the world, or is it your unique imagination that found this unique selling point on which you built your company, or is it a combination of both?
No, I think it's a combination. I mean, you can only do that in Switzerland with Swiss laws. And I just think the big guys like Coinbase, Binance, even Bitpanda here in Europe, or Kraken as well in the US, they just didn't know probably that in Switzerland, in this small country, that the regulation is different and that this is possible here. And also, I think they are not interested in any non-custodial model, because a lot of the money they make is through being custodial. Because if you can hold the money on behalf of the customers, you can also play with it, right? And so you can earn fees on, for example, trading with this money, or even with treasuries. So this whole money that is with you, that then the users don't necessarily need in that moment, you can play with this and earn fees on them through the stock market, capital markets, whatever. And that's what they do. That's a big part of their business model. And for us, it was never a part of this business model. That's why probably they didn't think about it, and we thought about it. We are going for this pure play, where the only way we make money is by transaction fees, or that they are very transparently shown to you. So every time you switch from euro, for example, to Bitcoin, we earn something, you pay something. But then whenever you hold Bitcoin with your Relai wallet, you don't pay anything, and we also don't do anything with this money. So it's really a pure play. It's very transparent, but it's maybe a bit less lucrative as well. And it's just this niche that is only possible here in Switzerland. Either they didn't know, like the big players didn't know about this, or they just didn't care because they thought it's a small niche, it's never going to take off. For us, it did take off, at least for our, obviously we're not as big as any of them yet, at least Coinbase and Bitpanda, etc. They're all bigger. But there's definitely a case, there's definitely a business model that can make a lot of revenue, and for a very good, sustainable, profitable business, maybe even up to a unicorn that can go public at one point.
Okay, and but there is a cap. So is this a cap that you have set up, or it's a regulation that requires you to put this cap on?
So the cap is by law, but obviously that's just a cap where you don't have to verify yourself as a customer. So up to 1K per day and 100K per year. As a Relai customer, you don't need to do any KYC verification, no uploading of any documents, ID, etc. If you want to transact more, and obviously we have a lot of people that do, then up to 100K per year, again, but just higher daily limit, you can do this quick and easy, 5-minute KYC verification process in the app. You give us a couple of personal details, you upload 2 or 3 documents, and then that's it. You're done. And then you can transact, 10K, 20K a day, up to 100K per year. And then if you want to do even more, and that's also a business segment that is growing quite rapidly at this point for us, is called Relai Private. And that's more of an OTC kind of white glove advisory service that either in the app or through our OTC desk with personal, advice. people can transact 100K or more. So we also have a lot of high net worth individual and even business clients that invest $250,000 or $500,000 in one go with us in Bitcoin. That's also possible, but then again, it's just a more effort on the onboarding. It's a bigger onboarding process that they have to do, obviously, because we're regulated. We have to go through a couple of steps, but then that's it. So the cap is only for kind of the newcomers that are coming in to try out the app, etc. And then depending on how much capital you want to invest, you go higher and higher in our customer segments, from retail to affluent to private.
Okay, I mean, that's very inspiring, starting like that and finding this niche and offering all these capabilities, but in a scalable manner. And the bigger you wanna become, the more KYC you need to do, and so on. However, is it valid for only Swiss investors, or you can onboard any investor from everywhere? Do you have like any geographic limitations?
Yeah, but it's not Switzerland, it's Europe. So from Switzerland is not in the EU. Most of the European countries are in the EU. But from Switzerland, we can accept all EU and European investors. So we have active users in, I think, 40 different countries in Europe. But that's kind of the limitation that is set from a regulatory point of view at this point. And also we have said it, to not make it complicated. And the European market is already quite big, not big enough, but it's big. It's 400 million people, so there's more people than in the US, and a lot of capital here as well. So certainly for another year or two, we will stay within this geographical limitation. In the end, it's scalable and expandable also to the whole world, this model, but then it requires local licenses and jurisdictions, etc. But for now, we can do this from Switzerland to the whole EU and European countries. This will change a little bit with MiCA coming in. I don't know if you're familiar with MiCA. It's the markets in crypto assets. It's a new regulatory framework that is encompassing basically all the EU countries, except Switzerland and the UK, which are not in the EU. But it's kind of a unified regulatory framework, which is good, which basically sets the rules for all the crypto companies and service providers like us. But it will require us also to get this sort of MiCA license, specific MiCA license, and we will need to comply with this from 1st of January 25. And one point there is that we will not be able to do what we are doing now with this no KYC and like no verification up to 1K per day and 100K per year, but because that's specifically a Swiss thing that we can do until there is this unified European framework. Once this is in place from January 25 onwards, we will not be able to do this for all the EU customers. So all the customers from Germany, France, etc., they will need to do full quote unquote onboarding as like an affluent client right now. So this 5-minute KYC onboarding process, even for small amounts like $50. For Swiss people, we will still be able to do that, but only for Switzerland, which is a limited market, only 8 million people, right? For all the rest of the close to 400 million Europeans, the new reality will be that they will also need to do KYC from the start, basically.
Okay. And I wanted to dig a little bit about your motivation into going to a Bitcoin-only model. Can you tell us a little bit about your story with Bitcoin and when you learned about it and the whole process from learning about it, getting interested, to starting a company and raising money? And can you walk us through the whole process that you went through?
Yeah, I'll try to do it in a short and concise way, because it was a long journey, obviously, with a lot of ups and downs and a lot of stories to tell. But basically, first time I touched Bitcoin or Bitcoin basically came into my life was 2015. A good friend of mine back then, told me about Bitcoin. He was a lot into technology, and I was not at all. Still, at this point, I'm not like a tech guy, even though I'm considered a tech entrepreneur now. I'm not a techie at all. I was studying psychology and business administration, and my good friend was studying, computer science. And in 2015, by the way, I was like, maybe 23 or so. So beginning of my 20s. I'm now 31. I know I don't look like this, but
You look much younger, yeah.
I know. So, but I actually was much younger at the beginning of my 20s.
Maybe that's the Bitcoin effect with the volatility.
Usually Bitcoin has not the opposite effect. It makes you look older. But no, for me, it's that. And then this guy, told me about Bitcoin and showed it to me on a weekend. He showed me all these different coins that he owns, just small parts of different coins. He used different exchanges, and it was just fascinating to me that there is something, an asset that is purely digital. So it lives on the internet and it fluctuates in price basically every second, 24/7, 365 days in the year. It's just, you can trade it all the time without asking for any permission, without having to go through an intermediary like a bank, without governments necessarily having control over it and being able to, print it and decide and whatever. So that's what I found really cool. And especially Bitcoin, which is an asset that is decentralized, independent, global asset that is scarce. So no one can, not even the government, can print more of it. No inflation, etc. And is really neutral and accessible for everyone in the world just through an internet connection. I thought that's massive. And basically a logical next step. So once we have the internet, why don't we have an internet native currency, right? And also it's a great store of value for the new digital world, etc. So that's what fascinated me. And then I was not Bitcoin only from the beginning. I loved Bitcoin, and I thought it's the biggest invention of it. But then also I got like immersed in all this huge innovation, craziness, and also speculation craziness that was going on with all the others, other
Yeah,
cryptos.
2015. So you followed the
Yeah,
ICO
yeah,
boom
yeah.
and bust, basically.
Absolutely.
So
I participated and invested in a lot of ICOs, made a lot of money, lost a lot of money as well to scams, etc. And then it took me until I think 2018, after this whole boom and bust of 2017, early 18. It took me until then to realize that most of the other cryptos are, like I said, speculation, scams at worst, speculation at best. I mean, tech investments, they're like startups, a group of people, they create a coin, maybe with good intentions, maybe with bad intentions, and some of them make it, but most of them fail on the long run. So if you look at what back then in 2015, how kind of the rank order looked like, the top 10 cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin was on top. Bitcoin is still on top now. The rest is basically coming and going. And that's just a reality that I came to understand. And then I was deciding for myself that I want to focus most of my time on Bitcoin, which is the big revolution in my opinion, and is really about the use case of money and the store of value, savings technology, digital gold case, which I think is by far the biggest one in this whole crypto industry. And I also think, and that's a conclusion that I maybe had only later, not in 2018 when I started thinking about Relai, and then 2019 we started working on it, 2020 we released it, etc. Only later, maybe 1 or 2 years ago, I also came to the conclusion that, hey, even if there are things and use cases that work in kind of the crypto land on Ethereum or Tesos or Cardano or what have you, like all these other chains, things that work there, for example, DeFi, decentralized exchanges, tokenization, NFTs, smart contracts, etc. Whatever works and really is needed or demanded by the market will eventually end up on Bitcoin as well, because Bitcoin will scale in different layers. There's the base layer, which is very solid, very strong, very reliable, but also very slow and not really scalable. But then there are different layers on top, like Lightning, Liquid, RGB, etc. So it's basically scaling in layers. And once this is done, then you can build anything you want, including smart contracts, tokenization, NFTs, DeFi, etc., on Bitcoin as well. And then the question is, why would you use any other cryptocurrency, which is more centralized and less secure and less reliable and less, everything is less. It's all better on the Bitcoin blockchain. So why would you use anything else in 10 years? And that again convinced me even more that there's no point in focusing on anything else than Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, I totally hear what you're saying because if we look at NFTs, for example, that went very hyped on so many protocols, now they're coming to Bit protocol and the volumes are spiking quite a lot. I would add to that you have also another effect that is regulation. I think most of these new ideas will be killed by regulation, and the fact that Bitcoin is almost the strongest crypto out there that is regulation proof, I would say, or resistant. Because, I mean, as a financier, when I see any if, then, do this, do that, I automatically think about derivatives, and it becomes a financial instrument, and therefore the regulator comes in and he's gonna control it, or at least there is the investor protection that comes into place. And the more complicated stuff you have, the more investor protection you need to put in. And can you tell me a little bit about like starting this relay and the process of being a Bitcoin entrepreneur? Because there's you find the protocol, you get convinced into it, but building a business on an asset as volatile as Bitcoin first, and also as unrecognized. So it's harder for a Bitcoin company to raise money compared to a traditional tech company and stuff like that. So how was this experience from finding the team, building on it, and raising money and developing everything you have developed so far?
Yeah, I don't know if it's in our case, if it was much harder because it was on Bitcoin. Because I think from an objective, perspective, just looking at us as a case from the outside, it looks more like a fintech than a Bitcoin. We're not deep tech, building some second layer stuff or smart contracts or whatever on Bitcoin. It's not a huge new technology. We just have built a broker. We're regulated as a broker. So it doesn't really matter what we are trading. We now happen to trade Bitcoin, but we could trade anything else as well. And so from the tech point of view, yes, we have built this whole smart order routing and the backend, the broker, we got the license for it, and we quite a big backend tech stack, and a front end, obviously the mobile app. But it's more a fintech, a B2C fintech. So the challenges were more to have a great UX UI that is still compliant, to build a great team around it, and to build a brand and market it to the broad masses, which involves everything, from content marketing to social media marketing, SEO, PR, working with influencers, having a great referral system, etc. So all these is basically this playbook that you need to follow or create for your specific thing. But I don't think the challenges came necessarily from Bitcoin or from Bitcoin being volatile. Actually, volatility is the best for us and for other brokers as well, because we make most money and we have most activity when Bitcoin is volatile. So right now is a great time for us because Bitcoin goes up. It creates FOMO. People want to come in. People want to buy Bitcoin. The media writes about it. So everyone is like, oh, I want to go on Google and find a place where I can buy Bitcoin. So new users are naturally flowing into our doors. Same, or not quite the same, but similar when price goes down. So then everyone is like, oh, it's cheap. No, now I can buy. Or some people, are fearing that it goes down even more and they are selling. So there's again more trades for us, more money. The worst thing is when it's not volatile. So there was a quite a long period of, I think, more than 12 months lately, before this kind of bull market came, where it was just stable. Like the Bitcoin price was super stable around, I think, 20K or something. And the volatility was at a record low. And no one really gave a shit. PR or media didn't write about it. No new users necessarily came in. Everyone was minding their own business and not thinking about Bitcoin too much. That's where it's hard for us. We did even manage to grow in these times, which is a very good sign for us as a business. So we also mastered this challenge. But in the end, I think there's no real challenges just because we are building on Bitcoin. Because to be honest, we're maybe not considered building on Bitcoin necessarily. We're just an interface to Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, from our experience, like running a Bitcoin equities ETF, so not only we don't have Bitcoin, we're just holding equities, listed equities. The problems that we have seen is, first of all, a lot of banks and the trading platforms still today don't want to reference our product because there is the word Bitcoin
Yeah,
in our ETF.
yeah,
And also on the ads perspective, when we want wherever, like go on any platform, there's much more restriction when you add the word Bitcoin
yeah.
in it. And then from an investor's perspective, what we have found is there's a lot of educational gap to breach, especially in Europe compared to the rest of the world, to because people diss it as a fad or an irrelevant topic, yet as if there's this huge trend that is coming. I know that you managed to raise money. How did you find investors? Maybe in the Swiss environment you have like much more Bitcoin open investors or Bitcoin friendly ears.
You would think so, right? But it was actually harder than I expected, or harder than many people think. There is a lot of money in Switzerland, but there is not a lot of risk capital in Switzerland. So people hold it with the big stocks, the blue chips, and real estate, etc. But we don't have a venture capital culture here, like for example in the US. And also the same then for Bitcoin. There are a couple of Bitcoiners, and some of them are in our cap table, but more like doing smaller angel investment type of things. We do have some VCs, and also some of them are in our cap table, but they are not like super interested in Bitcoin. Again, they saw us more as a fintech case. That's why they invested, and obviously Bitcoin as a booming niche, but not. We don't necessarily have a lot of money for Bitcoin and crypto cases here in Switzerland, even though you would think so, right? From the outside, we have great. It's a great ecosystem to come here and start a business, and you will find some angel investor money, which we also did. So for the first like pre-seed round, yes, it's fine. And then a second round we did. So the first pre-seed round was 300K just from angel investors, right? And then the second was a 2.5 million Swiss francs, so close to 3 million USD seed round that was led by a Swiss VC, but already there also other VCs jumped in with smaller tickets from other countries. And then that's basically where it stops in Switzerland. That's where it gets really hard to then raise a Series A, for example, which we until this point didn't really manage to do. So we raised this seed round, and then we did kind of a seed extension of 4.5 million that also included a crowd equity. So we did a half of this round was basically our community that was investing in us, which has a lot of benefits as well. So I'm glad we did that. And then a new investor from the US, a new VC from the US came in and led the round. And then other VCs followed. But we haven't managed yet, even though we are like growing like crazy. We have amazing KPIs and are very soon profitable. We're actually quasi profitable already now. So huge success story from a business point of view, but still fundraising was hard and is very, very hard in Switzerland. We did have to look to the US to raise more money. And so in total, we have now raised something between 7 and 8 million. But not managed to do a big Series A yet. That's our goal for the coming months and years, to really pull off a big Series A so that we can really grow more. And I don't think we will find this money or these kind of big investors in Switzerland. I think we at least need to look at like the UK or probably the US.
Okay, because I mean, these VC investors have the same problem as you do, in the sense that they have to raise money from their investors, and then
Yep.
they would say, "Okay, we're going to put some money in Bitcoin companies," and
Yeah, that's true.
so it's like self-repeating.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, it was very interesting talk. Thanks a lot for your time, and good luck for your next raise. If anybody is hearing us today and is interested in funding your Series A, you're more than welcome to contact Julian.
There you go. My DMs are open. Thank you so much, Chad. It was a great conversation. Thank you, and happy Friday. Have a good one.
Thank you. Take care.